Welcome to my game of the day of the last round of the Tata Steel competition. What a competition it's been. It's so great to see over the board chess, and it's been riveting. I think some of the great things about this tournament has been the selection of players, not just players like Magnus Carlsen, Fabiano, but interesting players like the player of the white side here, Jorden van Foreest. And this is the game of the day, his game against Niels Grandilius. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. So the game starts off with a Sicilian, and they play a line which is becoming a little bit popular at the moment in the Najdorf. And let's just get the Najdorf on the board. The Najdorf Sicilian starts after a6, and now queen d3. Played a bit earlier in the competition by none other than Magnus, and this is a really peculiar move, but it has some sense. The queen can often swing over to the king side, but most importantly, white is very quick at castling queenside. He can just move the bishop to d2 even and castle, getting a very aggressive position. It has to be said that the Najdorf opening, this a6 move, has taken a complete battering in the Tata Steel competition. It's one of the openings which historically has been Black's best defense in the Sicilian, but here it's lost nearly every game for Black. Really bad. Maybe something to do with Anisha's last course on Chessable, giving away all his secrets. Who knows? They now follow that course of Anisha's with knight bd7, and this looks like a good move. The queen's on d3, so why not develop the knight somewhere to attack the queen? Normally c5, where we can pressurize e4 as well. Bishop e2, and now b5. So Niels is going aggressive. He's going for an aggressive setup, and now a typical move against an early b5, a4. This is a rule of thumb well worth remembering. Before Black can stabilize the queen side here with moves such as bishop b7, rook c8, and even queen b6, a4 aims to just target those pawns which now need to make a decision about what they do. The standard response is to push on with b4 at some moment. If Black ever captures on this square, then white can simply play knight takes, and we see a structure here where that pawn on a6 is a lonely soul, and it's going to be targeted for the rest of the game. So this is not really a structure that Black should ever go for. Knight c5 first, the queen has to move, and it's very peculiar how modern chess is developing. These new ideas, they look so strange to my eyes, at least, who's been trained in a different way. And I have to say, if this opening was shown to me from, I don't know, the England under-8 championships, I'd be like, yeah, this looks like an 8-year-old playing with white. He's moving his queen around. He's not really doing the right thing. He's leaving his bishop at home. Don't do this. But this is kind of what modern chess is looking like now. They're playing kind of bizarre ideas to get unique positions. And now Black has to do something with his pawn, so he pushes on, and the knight dies into the center with a very unique position here. This is still theory. The pawn on e4 is now grabbed by the knight, and we now see the first new move. Now, I mean, previously this has been considered to be about equal here. White has sacrificed a pawn, but he's got these very tricky guys in the middle. The queen is also rather annoyingly placed against the king, and Black is quite a long way behind in development here. It's going to take him a number of moves to get the king castled, so that's where White's compensation generally lies. But Jorden now plays the novelty a5, and again, this is a very good positional move. We're clamping down on b6, so we have that square. We're stopping the a pawn from moving, keeping that one weak. And now it's a little bit tricky to decide what Black should do here. I mean, I guess taking on d5 has to be the way to start, which Niels plays, and now queen takes e4. And here e6, and yet again, I think to the human eye, you know, I was thinking, well, where's the compensation? Does Now with e6, black is very solid in the center of the board. Black's going to go bishop e7, castles. I don't really see what white's doing here. But then the deeper we look at this position, I think the more apparent it becomes that white has quite a hold in the center and on the queen side. For a start, this knight can't really ever move, and at some point c4, even if takes, and the other pawn comes to c4, is going to be very problematic. The bishop can come to f3, and it's very hard for black actually to play anything constructive in this structure. Saying that, I think bishop b7 might have been the more dynamic choice here, and let's say white castles, queen c8, and this at least aims to get out of this little bind where white's compensation lies. The downside of this sequence is black has not got his king safe, and I think maybe here white could have tried, if this had happened, knight f5, and after e6 some doubling up against the king. And again, it's quite hard for black to get castled. If he tries g6, we can even come into h6 with our knight. A very unique way of stopping the king coming that way. And again, it's this not immediate compensation, but like ongoing pressure. Back to the game, e6 played. And now white very calmly castles. Niels develops with bishop d7. The problem also with bishop b7, well, we've just seen this kind of line, but there might be some issues on e6, and if Jorden was in very dynamic mood, he could go bishop g4 and just aim to collapse black's position on that e6 square. So bishop d7 is a more solid option, keeping the centre under control, and now Jorden very calmly develops bishop d2 and bishop f3, allowing black to castle. And here, after queen d3, it's a little bit more clear where this compensation is. It's more positional, trying to stop black moving. If this knight moves, we take the rook. If the knight doesn't move, we can really damage the pawn structure and grab that pawn back. These pawns on the queen side are really black's nemesis in this position. Queen b8 played, guarding b4, and now this c4 idea we talked about earlier. Jorden's trying to open up the b file and also get rid of this pesky knight. Pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn, and now the rook comes out of the way. Now this is the big mistake actually. This is a little bit too slow. Bishop f6, trying to at least counter in the center, was black's best choice here, which keeps it reasonably equal, even though after this I still like white. He's got great compensation with rook b1 coming, and there's always problems with this move c4, where it's always in the air. Even here leaves black wondering how to cope with the problem here. So rook a7 played, and now rook b1 increases that pressure. And another issue black has is you don't want to leave the a6 pawn on pre, so the queen has to move, and now black starts to get pushed back. But the real star move here from the young Jorden is a really clever move, knight b5. I've been very, very impressed with Jorden's play throughout the competition. He's been a very unique player. He's got his own ideas. He doesn't copy, he creates. And it's great to see that, especially in this game. He's, with this victory, going to be in first equal. Geary's still playing. It might be a playoff between the two Dutch players for the competition. I know some of you are going to moan that I've given the result away, but I'm sure most of you has literally looked at the internet. Most of you like looking at the internet, don't you? Let's be honest, to look at the scores. This move just emphasizes his tactical awareness. The point is, after this knight is taken, there's no other choice. Yes, white's a piece down, but look at these pawns. These pawns combined with the bishop are just so strong. And Niels thinks they're so strong, he gets rid of one of them immediately, giving back a piece, which actually is understandable. Something like e5, b6, and these pawns are worth more than any piece. They're just going to go Pac-Man style, or maybe Space Invaders I'm thinking of. I'm getting my games mixed up there. And even giving away the rook on b1 doesn't even help black. White's a whole rook down, but yeah, hopefully Chess.com can make some better sound effects than that. I'm joking. You don't need to edit anymore. Don't put any more effort into it. That's fine. I'm sure I came across very Space Invaderish there. But you can see this great idea. What a brilliant sacrifice. So Niels fights hard, and he brings his pieces back. But now after bishop b7 and a6, this rook is completely dominated. Two bishops are very good as well in the open position, and now Jorden uses those to push black's pieces to even worse squares. The rook on f8. None of black's pieces can really move here. And bishop c7. He doesn't even care about his rook. And this shows his energetic way of playing. Pawn to d5. A better try here would have been knight c5, but even this after queen b6 looks very ugly for black. That rook is nastily trapped there. One little trick here, but maybe Niels had missed, it's very hard defending passive positions, is queen d7, and this just about keeps Niels in the game. It looks like bishop d6 wins on the spot, but now black, shall I let you work this one out so you can moan that I don't show you? Only joking. Queen b7, I wouldn't do that to you again, I only did it once. And this turns the tables tactically, so that knight c5 move might have been worth playing with the back ranker coming up. So d5, I feel the final mistake, because after bishop d6, it's complete domination now of the position. Queen d8, and here I think Jorden shows how much of a creative player he is. Often the simple route is best. He goes rook c1 first, but there's nothing wrong with just taking that one and then going rook c1, and this would have ensured him a quicker win than he got in the game. But also, I suppose it wouldn't have been as pretty, because after g6 now, he just goes h3 and black can't move. Okay, Niels gets his rook out of the way, but now the pressure increases. Rook c7, and this is just showing complete domination, this h3, whilst giving the king a nice escape square to those back rank tricks that we saw earlier on. The knight comes into e4. Niels is just going for some compensation. Queen c6, the rook moves, black can't really move anything. Bishop d4, and here Niels is forced to give back that one. Queen b8, f3, and now a last ditch attempt. And I totally understand why Niels gave this a go. In bad positions, you know, like this, you might as well try and get some counterplay. But again, Jorden shows his very good calculation here, as after rook a6, it seems that black's queen and knight are going to create some problems. For example, queen b4, the bishop has to move, and now queen e1. If I was white here, I'd be like, oh, I've let this one slip a little bit. But very clever calculation. The bishop does a great job of defending any perpetual checks, and now knight to f2 looks scary, but let's remember white has a lot of dangerous pressure against the black king as well. He brings his queen back to have ideas on the diagonal, but also to defend. Now Jorden is a piece up. Queen h1 check, and look at this. What a great way to finish the game and finish his tournament. Watch that king. Queen g1, so the knight can try chasing it, but again, Jorden has calculated this doesn't work. Rook c8, creating his own play and dangerous threats against black's king. And here comes the hunt. Knight h1, king h4. Now in this position, black doesn't have time for a quiet move, because white's going to take here, and with the queen coming down into the position, it's going to be game over. Let's just have a look at that. For example, I like, after this move, maybe even something like check here, and the bishops dominate, and eventually we get to the back rank. That's one way to do it. So Niels has to keep checking g3, he has to keep checking g5, but look at this, such brave play. I don't care. I'm gonna checkmate your king with my king. The checks keep coming, but now king h6 on the board. And okay, he gets rid of the bishop, queen takes e5, and what can black play here to try and survive? Well, in the end he resigned, so he didn't really do a very good job of defending. Queen g7 is now a monstrous threat. The king is doing a great job. It's walked all the way up the board, and it's actually the key attacking piece. And after queen a7, well, can you guys work this out? I better show you this time, right? Queen to h8 check is the reason that Niels resigned before playing this move. This would have been a tremendous way to finish the tournament. What a beautiful idea. And here, the king, it's like one of those dominating positions in the ending after rook takes f8, delivers checkmate. A simply astonishing game from Jorden. Congratulations. At the time of recording this, I don't know if he's going to win it outright. It looks like he's got a playoff. I'm sure there'll be more on that later on. I would also like to say I've met Jorden a couple of times, played against him. Really down-to-earth kid. I didn't know that his descendants, if you Wikipedia him, are actually come from some royalty. And his great-great-grandfather, I think I got that right, was also Dutch chess champion. So he's got a history of chess running through his veins. Do like, do subscribe. Thank you for watching. And I'm very happy that, Tata still happened. What an event it was. The Dutchies did well.